It's up to Flashpoint now, heading into game number 2 during picks and bans, to be able to adapt to this aggressive mindset and strategy from Memory of Gabe.
Well, Memory of Gabe, they've got the first pick this time around and immediately ban away that Izanami that Incon loves so much in that middle lane, as well as can be played in the Hunter role by XenoTronics as well. Sylvanas banned away by Flashpoint. Again, I love this ban from Memory of Gabe, not only because we know that a lot of the players in Flashpoint like this pick, but it's good early wave clear, and that's exactly what they exploited because Flashpoint didn't have.
The thing is, Memory of Gabe also like Izanami. Hurriwind has played it
True.
before in the past during the relegations, but it's something that he doesn't necessarily have to rely on time in and time out. Incon kind of favors it a little bit more than Hurriwind, but yet again, Thanatos, a little bit of a flex pick. We'll see if that's going to be yet again onto Whalrus.
Yeah, Cirquet banned away by a Memory of Gabe. They clearly value that very, very highly, as do many teams. We've seen a lot of teams ban away that Cirquet so far today. And the one time we've seen it, Cynosure has a nuts game on it, so you can see why. Zeus selected for Incon in the middle lane. Love this pickup for him. Very, very comfortable on this god, as we know Toli. And again, early level 1 fighting potential, both out of the jungler and the middle lane.
It's all about the jungle pressure, and Zeus also provides that jungle pressure because of the invades from Memory of Gabe. If Flashpoint were scared to go in there because of the threat of the Zeus ultimate, the threat of the chain lightning that Zeus can potentially just devastate an entire team. So Memory of Gabe now picking up this Janus is going to allow them to go in and out of the combat, not to mention Eonic now going for more of a traditional style with this defensive support.
This is what we're used to seeing Eonic on, these defensive supports, like you mentioned. Shadowq playing his signature Bacchus that he played more than anyone else in Season 3, was all over that god last season. But the thing that worries me, Toli, is Hurriwind on this Janus. We've seen what he can do on it. We saw it was banned away by Flashpoint last time. It's going to be tough for Flashpoint to handle it, I think.
The snipes are very good coming out of Hurriwind before in the past. We'll see if he's going to be able to replicate that. But either way, whether or not he hits that is not the end-all be-all for Memory of Gabe. They're relying heavily on those portals to be able to also escape from the aggression coming out of Mirage on this Thor. It's going to be very devastating to match that global presence, which is why we could potentially see Cynosure playing the Thanatos.
I love the amusing Cobb ban, and I'm not even trolling when I say that, from by Flashpoint here. We've seen Snoopy play it specifically with this Janus in the middle lane that can really bail him out of bad situations if he gets ganked in that dual lane. It is going to be Thanatos in the jungle this time around for Cynosure, and in Memory of Gabe, Vamana going to be the selection for Whalrus. Very, very comfortable on this god and plays it to a very high level. Medusa going to be the last pick there, and we saw what Medusa can do in game 2 between Enemy and Eager. Panda Cat turns the game with a massive Petrify.
I like the fact that Whalrus picks the Vamana here, not relying on Thanatos again, because the last pick is for Flashpoint. They don't necessarily know who that soul laner is going to be, which is why you pick a very safe soul laner with the Vamana, being able to just sit in the lane. You don't necessarily lose the lane no matter what. You can easily stalemate in a losing matchup, and heading into the second game, it's going to be tier on the side of Flashpoint.
A lot more early pressure, I would say, from Flashpoint's draft this time around. You don't have the Geb that really struggles to clear early. Robin, his wave clear takes a little bit longer to get online than someone like Tyr, who has that stance switch available at level 1. And of course, the Zeus and Thor in the middle lane that can pair up and really put an excellent amount of pressure onto a Memory of Gabe. Flashpoint didn't outright win this draft. I wouldn't say that they absolutely outdrafted a Memory of Gabe, but they certainly did better than they did in game 1.
They have to execute their draft also, because the fact that Mirage played Hunbat's last game, there was no presence from him in the mid lane to be able to set up Incon on the Toth. So earlier on, this time around, playing the Thor makes it a lot easier to look for plays, especially the fact that you have XenoTronics playing this Apollo. So now it's up to Flashpoint to see how they use these two global pressure ultimates to be able to start collapsing onto middle. It's not a bad idea here to try to cater towards Incon playing the Zeus. He doesn't have any natural escapes. He's going to be sticking out like a sore thumb. He even picked up the Aegis. It's very similar to the first game, trying to survive against any executes from Cynosure.
He needs to be very careful, does Incon, of the abduct potential from Eonic, though. With that, without any purification, being silenced for that long and being plucked back in as a character like Zeus is an easy recipe for death. Eonic here grouping up with Hurriwind in the middle lane, trying to get a little bit of extra pressure, and it looks like they will out clear because of the low cooldown of Unstable Vortex, as well as the amazing clear potential of Rising Dawn from Khepri.
Thor, not the best level 1 lane clear, but a good box of a Shadowq, taking a lot of damage, though archers are poking out Whalrus, and he's gonna fall. Aquarius gets first blood!
Shoutouts to the minions, baby. Aquarius helping out Flashpoint, as well as those minions. First blood goes the way of the soul laner, and that's ideal, right? You lose game 1, It takes you play 20 plus minutes and you get 0 kills. And now, less than a minute in, you're on the board.
Well, to be fair, Flashpoint kind of got a little lucky there. You know, the minions definitely favoring them quite heavily, not something that they were banking on. It was them retreating under the tier 1 tower. Whalrus got a little bit too far ahead of himself. He took the brunt end of that damage. Only level 1 Vamana doesn't have the defense necessary.
Ooh, invade on this red buff. Eonic gonna take a little bit of pressure here, but Incon may not have that detonated. It is a chain lightning. Eonic getting very low, but Snoopy has made the rotation. Aegis gonna save Incon's life for the moment, but not quite enough. Eonic does fall to the hand of Mirage, but with that speed buff, he's going to have to run away still from Snoopy. Xeno's here. Nice, so beautiful on to Snoopy. Mirage teleports in, and the dash in from XenoTronics helps secure that last hit there. Nice unstable vortex hits 2 from Hurriwind, but not quite enough damage in the end. And Memory of Gabe on the losing end. 2 for 1 by their red buff.
Confident rotation coming out of XenoTronics, even dashing in aggressively. Eonic trading himself out for the mid laner of Incon. Take that trade any single day. Even with the rotation from XenoTronics, picking off the red buff. This is something Flashpoint has to do consistently. Off of these kills, look for the small little invades, just building off of more of their lead. And now that I just look at it, Aquarius just now hit level 4. Whalrus was already level 4 for a little bit longer, not being able to really find more farm off of the first blood.
But at the end of the day, Totally, this is a good sign for Flashpoint because, like I said towards the end of that game, they spent so much of the last game being aggressed on, not being the initiators, not playing aggressive on their own accord. This time around, we see the exact opposite. It's XenoTronics dashing in by the red buff. It's Incon and Mirage invading the opposition, and it's no surprise to me that Flashpoint are on the board kill-wise because of it.
Level 5 onto XenoTronics. Like the first game, he was the kind of relied on too heavily, I would say, for Flashpoint to try to look for the plays and try to find a way to come back into the game. But this time around, now with this 1 level lead over Snoopy, also invading the red buff, put into a good position to win.
Aquarius in trouble on this right-hand side. He has the Lawbringer. I don't even know if he's going to be able to get it off in time. He's not even going to use it, hold it for a later scenario. He knew he was a dead either way. Whalrus able to return the kill he took for first blood there.
Mirage not in position to bail out his soul laner at all. 2 additional members rotating to help out Whalrus with his Vamana now being able to get slowly back into the game. Looking at the net worth already, doing a good job coming back into it, considering the fact that it was Aquarius that got credited for that first blood.
And Whalrus misses about half a wave because he does teleport in, but still loses the end of that wave that was there that actually ended up killing him for that first blood, as well as a little bit of the wave after that. Overall, though, Flashpoint still in the lead, about 650 gold, 1,500 experience in their favor, and that's because of all the invades that we've seen from Flashpoint. The red buff went their way, the enemy purple buff went their way as well, and that's aiding in getting Flashpoint a little bit of a lead thanks to that early wave clear that they've drafted in Game 2.
XenoTronics has yet to back in this lane. He's sitting at about 1,750 gold, waiting for potentially Devil Gloves, unless he wants to be able to finish off a different item. Snoopy was forced to use that ultimate just to be able to clear the wave. Both hunters are going to back respectively. We see Warrior Tabby being complete by Snoopy. XenoTronics still waiting to see what he completes.
Hurriwind still not quite level 5 in the middle lane quite yet. Incon has had his ultimate for a little bit here, and again, that's because of that invade on that left-hand side that's really helped Incon get a little bit ahead of Hurriwind. Finally, that through space and time is available, so that now that's the kind of warning signal to everyone on the map. You got to be wary of where your positioning is because Hurriwind and squad can be there in a moment's notice.
Flashpoint looking to play aggressive. Mirage going into the sky. He's going to land straight onto Eonic, walling him off. He's only level 4, not having the revival available, but that's a lot of commitment onto this Khepri.
Love the play, though. I really thought that Mirage was going to be going for the enemy speed buff as soon as I saw him go up in the sky, but instead identifies that Eonic is way too far out of position and immediately makes him pay for it. 2 deaths already for the support player for Memory of Gabe, and like you mentioned, still only level 4. Does have those reinforced greaves completed, giving him a little bit of extra tankiness. Red buff being aggressed on here by Flashpoint. The purification isn't enough to save Snoopy as Mirage hits him with the double tap and picks up their 5th kill. Not only do they get the kill onto Snoopy, but they get the purification beads and the red buff Flashpoint looks like a different team this time around, Totally.
Absolutely, trying to utilize this Thor to their advantage, the long-range stun. Also, Shadowq playing his comfortable Bacchus, like you mentioned during picks and bans. This is something that he relies on quite heavily to set his team up, and it just seems that Snoopy was a little out of position. He poked his head around the corner where he shouldn't have. The ultimate coming out of Hurriwind a little bit late. There could have been a second quicker, could have saved his Hunters live, but either way, Flashpoint getting credited with another kill. 5-2, about 1,500 gold in the lead thus far. XenoTronics looking really strong as well. With this Devil Gloves, he's going to be able to keep building these stacks, and I like the idea and mindset that he had because he didn't invest into too many potions with his build. He was able to back at a much earlier rate to complete that item.
What do you think the biggest difference is between Flashpoint in Game 1 and Flashpoint in Game 2? Is it as simple as they've got better wave clear, or is it something else that you're seeing?
Obviously, it helped with the first blood that Aquarius was credited to, but with this rotation from Cynosure, he's able to even apply more pressure onto Whalrus. First blood is all fine and dandy, but the question is, how can you make sure that you don't lose the lane off of these rotations? Tyr's not one of these gods that can sit under his tower the whole entire lane. Vamana can easily with that Umbrella Ring, so he has to make sure he doesn't get any poke traded out until the wave hits the tower where he can safely use that defensive power cleave to stay alive.
Well, he hasn't been doing a very good job of that so far. 2 deaths already for the solo laner. 2 out of the 3 kills on In Memory of Gabe are onto that tier in the solo lane. That's been In Memory of Gabe's strategy so far, that from what I've seen, Totally, is they focus on Whalrus' lane heavily early on, making sure he gets ahead.
And this is why we see Flashpoint trying to make more of a comeback here. They weren't able to really get anything off of that first blood, but they're leaning more towards the dual lane. They're learning more about their own strengths, which is the side of XenoTronics, instead of going on the side of Whalrus and trying to shut him down from Memory of Gabe, and which is a good idea because once the mid game starts rolling around the corner, XenoTronics on this Apollo will make a huge impact around the Gold Fury.
That's a great point. He's already got quite a few stacks on that Devourer's Gauntlet, almost finishing off his boots, and Snoopy very far behind in this build, considering it looks like he's going to be going for Devourer's Gauntlet as well. Second item though, Eonic forced to ultimate himself. There's the Lightning Storm, but it's a little bit off the mark there. But XenoTronics comes crashing down, looking to finish off Incon, but a beautiful silence from Cynosure ensures that he can't use it so beautiful. Hurriwind caught his dash, it looked like there. Mirage up into the sky, looking to find the dunk. Only gonna hit Cynosure, but immediately the Purification saves his life.
Hurriwind taking a little bit of poke from the hammer. Whalrus making the rotation underneath, clearing the path, but Shadowq is gonna burp him on out. Cynosure thinking about going back in. He's gonna look for the depth scythe onto Shadowq. You're going to land, forcing the belly flop, but Gold Fury being started. XenoTronics taking a lot of damage thus far. All 5 members grouped up here from Flashpoint. They need to find something. There's only 3 here from Memory of Gabe, but they're running away.
Cyno still has Hovering Death, and Mirage is very close to that execute threshold. Mirage doesn't have any purification either, so I'm kind of surprised to see Cynosure not just hop right up there, guarantee himself the hit, when the death scythe that would follow would definitely be a kill, but instead Flashpoint do back up successfully there after a nice little engagement on that left-hand side.
Only having the ultimate from Aquarius resulted everyone from Flashpoint to negate that encounter, even though it was 5-on-3 like you mentioned before. The ultimate of Cynosure is very scary to deal with. The defensive ultimates of Hurriwind and Eonic were down, and that should have been the green light for Flashpoint. Everything needed to go in, needed to throw the kitchen sink into Memory of Gabe. XenoTronics, though, trying to wrap around underneath, whereas Incon and Shadowq going from the pincer maneuver.
Eonic might be in some trouble here. Mezzed out, flopped onto immediately by Shadowq. Root Buddy gets his dash interrupted because of that belch. One more auto is all that's necessary. Xeno is going to be able to find it. Intoxicate on top, just as the insurance policy by Shadowq. Hurriwind finds the portal through the wall. Doesn't have through space and time quite yet. There it is. He's going to use it just to make sure he's safe, but Gold Fury is started up by Flashpoint. Incon has the Lightning Storm. Cynosure knows this is happening along with Snoopy. Watch for the Petrify from Snoopy. Can absolutely make a play here on the Gold Fury.
Zeus ultimate coming out. The Petrify does connect. Flashpoint does confirm the Gold Fury. Hovering depth, trying to find Mirage. He's off the target. Still looking to chase him down a little bit further. He has the movement speed off of his passive. He sees who's low. Aquarius looking to wrap around underneath as well. Shadowq finding the stun, and off the mark was Cynosure. Gold Fury from Flashpoint, and they all escape safely.
Aquarius is going to try and make something happen here. Cynosure has no purification and immediately gets dunked on by Mirage. Mirage turns tail and runs because of how low he is, but Aquarius just wasn't there with the follow-up. If we see Aquarius use that Lawbringer to close the gap and Fearless Cynosure, that could absolutely be a kill there.
And not only that, the 2 ultimates from XenoTronics and Mirage were used, which is why we see Memory of Gabe shifting their attention to the right on this Portal Demon, despite Gold Fury going the way of Flashpoint. This is still a nice comeback for Memory of Gabe. You get 150 gold per player off of this objective.
Whalrus teleported in to make sure that he could help zone away Flashpoint from this portal demon, and he does just that, as, like you mentioned, Toli, every member of In Memory of Gabe get 150 gold to their name, as well as the potential to back and use that portal that you see there in the jungle to get to lane a little bit faster and make their rotations a little bit easier.
Still a little low is Flashpoint on the side of Shadowq specifically. He has very little mana. He has to back. He's not really seen on a ward, but with this in mind, the rest of Memory of Gabe are doing a good job. Still not really too worried about the pressure that Flashpoint has been putting on them. They're still in a good spot. Hurriwind has been on pace with Incon, both sitting at level 9. The only deficit, I would say, experience-wise, is Snoopy on this dual lane. XenoTronics has still been able to do a good job invading these buffs.
And that's exactly where you see that lead coming from. The left side buffs have been controlled by Flashpoint for the most part on both sides of the map. And for me, one of the biggest differences between Flashpoint in Game 1 and Flashpoint in Game 2 has been Mirage. Mirage is actually allowed to be relevant in this game because he's getting his own buffs, he's getting the necessary farm, and he's making a big boon because of it. 2-0 and 2 on the jungler.
That's kind of, it helps whenever your speed buff doesn't get invaded 3 times in a row. And then
your blue buff.
And the blue buff.
And the fire elementals.
All of these can be favored for Mirage, definitely. So that's going to be Flashpoint's advantage, having this Thor that's not too far behind. Despite Thor can still make some plays from behind, but he's even better when he's ahead. Once he has these items, now finishing off that hi-rez Lament, doing a lot of damage.
Hurriwind, they're looking to pick off Incon in this jungle. He clips XenoTronics with that ultimate, but Incon immediately turns and drops the lightning storm with the chain lightning. Hurriwind gets saved by that meditation. Incon getting very, very low. Cynosure up into the sky. Aegis is used by Incon, but waited out beautifully by Cynosure, ensures that kill. A rotation from Aquarius. Mirage up into the sky, looking for someone to come down on, but instead thinks better of it.
Whalrus made the rotation. He's going to stun out Shadowq. Nowhere to go. He's going to belly flop into safety, but look how fast Snoopy and Cynosure are diving the backline. Aquarius finding a double Fearless, but nobody really here to help him out.
Nice acid spray, gonna do a little bit of damage to Mirage and Aquarius there by Snoopy. And there you see the power of Janus. 2 characters just a little bit too far forward in the jungle, securing those Oracle camps, and Hurriwind brings the whole team knocking.
Flashpoint, we're about to turn that first engagement on the head of Memory of Gabe. The ultimate from Hurriwind through space and time was Zeus, trying to pick off Incon, but like we mentioned before, Zeus is a great god in the jungle between the chain lightnings and the ultimate. But with the belly flop from Shadowq trying to find the Intoxicate follow-up onto Hurriwind, who was already really low. The fact that Snoopy found the ultimate, stunned out Shadowq before the Intoxicate happened, saved Hurriwind's life.
Absolutely, and the meditation that came through from Eonic was huge as well to do just that. Lots of protection for that mid laner for In Memory of Gabe, who's having another solid game on this Janus. 0-0 and 1, and he's really been the focus, I would say, of Flashpoint in his engagements in the middle stage of the game. Mirage specifically has been looking to make sure Hurriwind cannot use it through space and time aggressively, and you can see why, because the first time he is able to do so, it ends up resulting in a kill for In Memory of Gabe.
Fight fire with fire, global versus global. Everyone from Flashpoint on the left-hand side trying to get these left side mid harpies, also utilizing this Bacchus offensively, positioning himself very close to the wall to be able to find that belly flop to set up the rest of his team. But unfortunately for Flashpoint, they were all sitting on top of that ward on the left side mid harpies by Memory of Gabe.
Gold Fury getting close to respawning here, going to be up in the next 30 seconds. Game is pretty even right now. Still slightly in Flashpoint's favor because mostly of the control they've held on this left-hand side. XenoTronics again trying to steal away this purple buff, but this time he's got the support of his mid laner and his support. Shadowq going to find the flop onto Snoopy, who immediately uses his ultimate instead of that purification. Through space and time hits 2. Incon getting very, very low. Khepri ultimate down onto Hurriwind as Cynosure executes the Zeus.
Intoxicate onto nobody. The rest of Memory of Gabe are being able to chase them down. Whalrus making the rotation. Aquarius as well. He's behind, but the question is, even if he finds the Fearless, who's going to follow up?
Oh, there's the Fearless onto Hurriwind. It immediately erases him. Whalrus able to find Shadowq on the backside. Mirage, he's very, very far forward. Gets stomped down by the baby. Snoopy able to pick up his 3rd kill, get himself a little bit ahead in that kill death column. And Flashpoint, they lose 3. Only Hurriwind falls because of that Blink Fearless. Gold Fury is available, and this is the perfect opportunity for Memory of Gabe to snatch the lead back.
That's the power of the tier level 14, having the maxed out Fearless power cleave combination and no defense on the side of Hurriwind. Aquarius going in with the Lawbringer. Is going to reset the gold here, trying to find a kill onto Snoopy. Great abduct from Eonic, saving his life.
Aquarius still trying to go in with the root from Eonic, make sure that Snoopy is safe. Cynosure still trying to chase down this low solo laner, and again, Aquarius falls to the hands of Cynosure. Incon has returned and doing a lot of damage to Whalrus, in fact, enough to make sure he falls. Xeno can't get up into the sky before Cynosure comes crashing down from it, and as a result, Cyno picks up his 5th kill.
2 for 1 at the end of that engagement, not being able to secure the gold here, but getting the vision off the Oracles. Memory of Gabe, they were down 2,000 gold at one point, now making the game very even, and with the kill onto XenoTronics, not responding for another 20 seconds. Now this gives enough time for Snoopy to get back into the game, getting the red buff for himself, getting the golden experience solo of those two, and now with this advantage, 10 more seconds for Xeno, that's going to tell for Memory of Gabe to get this gold.
Portal Demon started up by Flashpoint, and I think that in Memory of Gabe are willing to trade this away for the Gold Fury. Gold Fury, of course, worth more gold, but that Portal Demon is something for Flashpoint to take away with.
They also hear it go down in Memory of Gabe, so not going to be able to stop that in time. It's about half as effective at this point on the side of Memory of, or side of Flashpoint, getting that Portal Demon, but still not making sure that they fall too far behind. This is a much better game number 2 out of them, making sure that they still control the game. They're all in a great position to be able to still group up and look for some stuff. With Mirage playing the store, the damage coming out of Incon, Aquarius, as long as he gets those fearlesses like he's done on the left-hand side, that's all they need.
Portal Demon used here. 2 members come popping out from that base, but immediately Eonic recognizes and finds the route over the wall. Cynosure has been the problem for Flashpoint. They haven't been able to have an answer for this Thanatos in the jungle. 5-0 and 3. Shadowq finds a 2-man knockup and the Intoxicate. Aquarius blinks in, finds that 2-man fearless as well, but not quite enough damage. Cynosure getting low, but a great Petrify from Snoopy turns it around onto Mirage. Whalrus uses the portals to get right into Incon's face. Cynosure can't find the execute, and Xeno comes crashing down so beautiful through multiple members, picks up Cyno.
Oh, look at the double fearless from Aquarius. Nice portal from Hurriwind. The Lawbringer not on the mark, unfortunately. So far, it's been a 2 for 1. Mirage is the only victim from Flashpoint, and that's going to maybe give enough time for Flashpoint to start looking for some more towers. Whalrus has made the rotation as well, but he wasn't the same amount of impact as Aquarius. Those fearlesses has just been controlling everyone from Memory of Gabe, and Mirage not having the purification beats early on in that encounter was so easy for Snoopy to find that Petrify stun.
And Memory of Gabe just a little bit too grouped there in that fight as well, and that's why you want to take fights in the jungle when you've got good AoE damage like Flashpoint have. The Zeus ultimate did excellent work, as well as the Chain Lightning, but like you mentioned, that fearless from Aquarius, you don't have a whole lot of room to juke in that little tiny corridor on bottom right Harpies, and as a result, multiple members of the Memory of Gabe take a lot of damage from Aquarius. 3-3 and 2 for the Soul Laner. Has had a little bit of trouble as far as the laning phases go, Toli, but his team fight seems to be pretty solid.
And that's all he needs to do. He needs to get into the team fight in the mid to later stages when things have been starting to settle down. And it's, you have to look at the way Flashpoint have been engaging these team fights, with Shadowq leading the charge on the Bacchus. He found a 3-man Intoxicate to start things off in that last encounter. And this is something that he's been known to do. He's not afraid to go in whenever his team is demanding for it, especially whether or not he's behind or not.
Not at all, and Eonic just hasn't had that same impact quite yet in the game, I would say, in the support role. We haven't seen a whole lot of Scarab's Blessings be thrown out effectively, not a whole lot of resurrections from that ult, and the damage mitigation has been great from the Rising Dawn, and that's something that doesn't really show up on the stat sheet as far as Khepri players go, as well as the abducts have been pretty effective, but the ultimates out of Shadowq have been a big difference maker for Flashpoint, and you just can't say the same for Eonic quite yet.
It seems like supports are going more into this offensive set. We're normally used to seeing a lot of Khepris, a lot of Sylvanas, even some Gebs here and there, but this could be the rise of the aggressive supports. Bacchus has been played so far this set, even Hercules in game number 1. And so far, it's been the telltale sign of whichever team has the more aggressive support has been getting the slight edge.
But I mean, you look over in Europe and you see Amaterasu in the support role, more Hercules in the support role. And that's an interesting kind of dichotomy, because in the early stages of Season 4, it was a lot of passive supports. It was the Gebs, Sylvanas, Khepri, like you mentioned. Those were the big ones. A little bit of Ymir sprinkled in there, so a little bit more aggressive, but not these warrior in your face, or even Bacchus who, you know, to hell with lane clear, I just want to kill you without it.
It's not a bad idea. As long as you can make those rotations in the mid lane, you have to make an impact in the early stages, and that's something Shadowq has been very successful so far this game. He does have his double relics now, sitting in level 12, working on that sovereignty now with that Heartward Amulet finish. But right-hand side, Flashpoint, they're getting able to secure this tier 1 tower. Nobody from Memory of Gabe really even wanting to contest this one.
Nice grouping up by Flashpoint. Like you mentioned, no one from Memory of Gabe. Close enough, though. You do have you have one global ultimate in Hurriwind and a semi-global with Cynosure, but because of the threat of XenoTronics there in the middle lane, I think that's what really dissuaded from In Memory of Gabe defending that tower. Snoopy's still hanging out on that left-hand side, just trying to get some farm. He's got the Executioner online now, totally 4 items completed. This is where Snoopy is going to start to turn it around, I think, and really make a bigger impact in these team fights.
And it's not that troublesome for Snoopy to sit in the left-hand side. Even if he does get ganked and rotated on, he's relying very heavily on Hurriwind to throw that ultimate to be able to create some portals. But letting Snoopy split push on the left-hand side is going to be Memory of Gabe. They're going to be able to concede this tier 1 tower. Flashpoint rolling down mid. Snoopy needs to be able to get at least a tier 2.
And there's the flop. Shadowq not going to be able to find anyone with that. Tier 2 still being focused down by XenoTronics, who would just eat a death scythe for basically his entire health bar. There's through space and time. Going to hit XenoTronics. The Aegis is already used. Cyno looking up in the sky. The meditation's good, but not good enough to get him out of execute threshold. But Cynosure waits too long.
He got the
Doesn't
HP
find
5.
The hunter.
He got enough HP 5. Snoopy from the backhand side. We see the ultimate from Mirage. Incon's going to get slowed from behind. We see the abduct. Incon's going to get taken out by Snoopy. Mirage taking a while to land back down finally, but the Aquarius is finding the fail. It's taking the ultimate away.
2-man route there by Eonic. XenoTronics forced to use Purification. Meanwhile, Cynosure and Whalrus teamed up to find Shadowq in that jungle. That entire engagement, I love the idea from Flashpoint. It just all goes horribly, horribly wrong when Cynosure almost insta-kills XenoTronics.
The engage from Shadowq under that tier 2 tower was unsuccessful. He didn't find the correct belly flop. He missed everybody, and the fact that that one death scythe triggered that whole team fight. XenoTronics was forced to disengage from the rest of his team. The ultimate from her when he was on the right side jungle, being able to dissect the map with some portals, making him in an easier position to get involved in the team fight. And he has to take these kinds of pathings because of his build. He's more of a glass cannon kind of Janus here. He doesn't have the Dynasty plate helmet, having the Doom Orb instead, so therefore he has to create that surprise factor.
Gold Fury started up by A Memory of Gabe, but Flashpoint are not content to give it up for free. The rotation is there, and as a result, In Memory of Gabe is just going to back up. They've already gotten the middle tier 2. They've already gotten the middle Phoenix. This is definitely starting to swing back into their favor. It looked like Flashpoint was going to start to take control of this game with their well-timed grouping. And all it takes is one good play, and Cynosure and Hurriwind combine to force Flashpoint off of that tier 2 tower, forcing it back into their favor. 4,300 experience, 3,000 gold as well. And as a whole, Toli, this composition for Memory of Gabe really does start to shine at this stage in the game.
Absolutely, with the Khepri having the revival, obviously Whalrus with his Vamana, he's pretty tanky now, being able to sit in that backline as long as he wants to. He can easily take advantage of the level 15 Zeus here, not having too much damage quite yet, electing to go for that Wing Blade after finishing off that Dynasty plate helmet, recognizing he's going to have to escape from Walrus's clutches. But either way, there's still a good enough power play for Flashpoint to look for the jungle fights here between Bacchus and Zeus. The question is, can they find it after the mid-Phoenix respawn? Still about 2 more minutes until that happens.
Snoopy dancing with XenoTronics on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, the root onto Shadowq, and immediately the Death Scythe able to chunk him down, courtesy of Cynosure, who's got plenty of damage in that build, not lacking whatsoever. On the left, Xeno and Snoopy boxing it out, but Snoopy knows that Hurriwind has his back with that through space and time. Aegis saves him from the Petrify, but now he's got nothing to save him from the Execute, and Cynosure puts Xeno down.
Just for good measure, through space and time was used across the left-hand side of the map. This is something you have to respect, the mobility of Medusa, especially with that Fatalis, being able to side strafe at no movement penalty as well as 50% moving backwards. This is why we see a lot of Medusas pick up this Fatalis, being able to not only be aggressive, but even if the team fight or the skirmish doesn't go the Medusa's way, being able to disengage very cleanly.
And that's also the benefit, I mean, of having a team fight ultimate or a 1v1 potential ultimate. like Petrify, Across the Sky does a lot of things really, really well. It allows you to split push, allows you to rotate, and it does excellent damage, but not in a 1v1 scenario like that. Definitely in favor of a character like Medusa.
And even if Medusa only hits you while you're running away from her with that ultimate, it's still going to get off 50% of her damage. It's still going to slow you. It even forced out the Aegis from XenoTronics, which allowed for a guaranteed execute out of Cynosure. You have to make sure that you're not going to be able to get caught out by those globals.
The individual play of In Memory of Gabe has really opened this game back up into their favor, even with Flashpoint having an excellent start, 14-10. In Memory of Gabe back in the lead here at the 25-minute mark. Still only about a 5,000 gold lead, absolutely fightable basically for Flashpoint. You could absolutely win a team fight down this number of gold.
Eonic did something similar as to what he did on the Hercules between the driving strike pull combination. He looked for the abduct to cut the distance and then the rune. Unfortunately, nobody was in position for Memory of Gabe to follow up, but he bought enough time for Whalrus to push in another wave. The rest of Memory of Gabe, they're looking to maybe bait out the Fire Giant here. XenoTronics has respawned. He's in the mid lane. He's not spotted out quite yet, but with that ward from Hurriwind, he definitely will.
Hurriwind needs to be careful of XenoTronics because even though he just lost that 1v1 to Snoopy, he still does a lot of damage. Fire Giant below 50% HP, but in Memory of Gabe, they're looking to fight. Mirage trying to find someone to come dunk it down on, and it's going to be Snoopy and Eonic on the backside. Decent amount of damage onto that Khepri, but Cynosure, he's up in the sky, and he already finds the execute onto Aquarius. Not quite on the mark with that Death Scythe, but a big Petrify hits 3. Mirage, very, very low. Intoxicate only onto Cynosure, just trying to peel this jungler off, but he's so hungry for Incon. Meanwhile, Mirage left all alone in the jungle.
Cynosure was zoning 3 people away in the mid lane by himself, finding that second kill for Memory of Gabe, picking off Mirage, and then earlier on, Aquarius was left hanging alone. It was a great idea from Memory of Gabe, baiting out that Fire Giant, which forced out a very early and premature ultimate from a Mirage, but now look at this, Shadowq, you're gonna get abducted in. The rest of Hurriwind, gonna utilize that threshold, finding another kill onto Shadowq.
0-4 for the support for Flashpoint. XenoTronics, he's done team fighting. He's going to the split push role, and that's exactly what Flashpoint needed this stage. They need something to go their way as far as gold goes, because as of late, it's been all In Memory of Gabe. Right-hand Phoenix now going to fall very, very quickly to all 5 members. Middle Phoenix has respawned, but I don't think it's going to stay on the map for very long. Immediately taken off.
50% more damage rather on the Phoenix whenever that does respawn, spawning back with 50% health. It's up to XenoTronics to get something back on his team's favor. Nobody's backing quite yet on the side of Memory of Gabe. He's going to be able to use that to his advantage with a wave. Aquarius doing a good job poking out Cynosure, and that's going to be a kill, but no, hold that thought. Eonic saving his jungler's life.
Great ultimate out of Eonic, and immediately Cynosure goes up into the sky. Across the Sky is being used right now by XenoTronics, and he's going to come in, but Cynosure comes in onto Mirage and wipes him off the map. Xeno trying to take this 1v1, but he's already seen this one before and immediately turns tail. There's the Petrify, just slow him down. Aegis prevents the damage, but the Umbrella Rang not quite there for Whalrus. Aquarius completely alone with the rest of it, without the rest of his team. Snoopy gets his 6th kill. In Memory of Gabe, just all across the map, seems to be in control of this game.
With 5 members of Fire Giant on the side of Memory of Gabe, they find the 2 Phoenixes, they find 2 additional picks. They're not looking to be too aggressive at this point. They don't want to go for the left side Phoenix without a wave, but instead they're going to all use the ritual to be able to get back to the left, taking advantage of the fact that Mirage and Aquarius are still dead.
And Whalrus doesn't have to use a rallying ritual. He's got the teleport relic to get there, and he's got a frenzy as well. In Memory of Gabe looking to end this game as soon as possible. Xeno trading with Hurriwind. Nice Intoxicate there. On top of that damage, Hurriwind very, very low. Able to get to the portal, and Mirage just gets dunked on by Cynosure. Another death for the jungler. Incon trying to escape underneath his Phoenix. Whalrus forced up into the Colossal Fury. Shadowq nowhere to go. XenoTronics falls as well. Look at all the fire minions on that Titan. In Memory of Gabe, pop the frenzy and go to another 2-0 victory for the new team to the SPL.
Great performance from Memory of Gabe. They find the 2-0 victory. They find another 3 points, sitting at 6 thus far. Unfortunately for Flashpoint, though, different tale for them. They have yet to find a single win this split.
Still a work in progress for the Flashpoint boys, but we got someone here to break it down and let you know what they need to do better, and that's Taco.
Bit of an unfortunate set indeed for the side of Flashpoint, considering that they haven't been able to find a win yet in this week 2. But at the same time, considering how game number 1 went for them, I think they did a pretty solid job at least showing sparks of life in game number 2. But game number 1 was just roll over and play dead Flashpoint. They were on the ground the entire time. And Memory of Gabe just completely abusing the lack of pressure that Flashpoint had on their side, in that they had a Geb, Thoth, and just not really much of a way for Flashpoint to go ahead and capitalize with the early game pressure. So a Memory of Gabe immediately pulling out the Assassin start in the solo lane with Whalrus on that Thanatos, just went ahead with Cynosure and just completely ran rampant. And there was not really much of a response for Flashpoint to really try and find any point of retaliation. The player damage was completely one-sided in favor of a Memory of Gabe, as well as the gold lead. From the very get-go, a Memory of Gabe just had complete control. And the synergy as a team overall just came through and shined pretty dominantly. As you could tell, just cleanly securing kills all around on the side of a Memory of Gabe. And Flashpoint was actually unable to even secure a single kill, because anytime a member of a Memory of Gabe found themselves to be even the slightest bit low, they immediately had team members backing them up, ensuring that they could peel for them and ensuring that everybody was able to get out, while at the same time maintaining kills of their own. So overall, an incredibly clean-looking game on the side of a Memory of Gabe to go ahead and secure them the first W. And then in the second game, we actually saw a Memory of Gabe struggling slightly against Flashpoint at the start, because Flashpoint actually had a 45k gold lead, which was pretty important, considering that it was a really huge turning point for them. Since the first game, they just got completely demolished. For them to go ahead and be able to find a slight spark of momentum and to try and bring this game back and at least look for a split in the set is really important for Flashpoint to go ahead and show that they weren't quite out just yet. But in Memory of Gabe, overall, just stronger team mechanics, stronger team synergy eventually shine through. Cynosure opting to take the Thanatos this time around, and his patience when engaging on the back line was pretty crucial, considering that he was able to wait out almost tons of actives and just following up on his team wherever they needed him to be to ensure that they could go ahead and pick up the Ws in these team fights. Overall, just a pretty... It was a little bit sloppier on it for a Memory of Gabe the second time around, but at the same time, that's partially due to the fact that things got off to a bit of a hectic start, with Flashpoint going ahead and securing some early kills, securing a small early lead. But a Memory of Gabe, when they brought it back towards the very end there, Snoopy just absolutely going ham on the Medusa and really showing why NA has been favoring this Medusa pick so much with the Fatalis and everything all around. So congratulations to A Memory of Gabe. And actually, we do have one of the silent leaders of that set, Eonic, here on the line right now. What's up, Eonic?
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you feeling after that set?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. How are you? How do you feel about going up against Flashpoint today in comparison to the sets from last week?
I think we were really comfortable and also a lot less nervous since this was our second game in the SPL. So, yeah, I think we were really comfortable going into this set.
You seem like you're having a lot of fun in the Khepri on that second game there. Is there anything that you felt like you could have utilized better in that game?
I think I missed a Khepri ult one time, but other than that, I think we all played pretty well. It's just unfortunately we got behind at the start. A couple of unfortunate deaths and then invades that pretty much snowballed the game into the mid game, but thankfully we were able to bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, we could see that you went for that unconventional Hercules pick in game number 1. Was there anything in particular that encouraged you to opt for that as opposed to a standard meta pick, or?
Hercules is just really good pressure pretty much, and the one's actually not too bad of a peeling ability as well, so he actually fits really well into the support role, I think.
Well, congratulations to you guys for going ahead and securing your set win for the day. Are there any particular shoutouts you want to go ahead and give?
Shout out to Gabe. This is all for Gabe. And also, I'd like for people to start calling us Gabe instead of Imog. And other than that, no real shout out. Shout out to my team, I guess, and shout out to the fans.
Well, again, congratulations to Eonic, the support for A Memory of Gabe, and the team for going ahead and picking up their 3 points with their set win overall. But now...